This snazzy-looking rig is a special new version of the Volkswagen Jetta that answers the call of shoppers after a more fuel-efficient variant of the standard car. It's called the Jetta Hybrid, and you might be wondering what the point is. After all, for decades, Volkswagen has offered Canadians the Jetta TDI, which runs on diesel and is also a more fuel-efficient version of the standard Jetta. So, why a hybrid too? Options. Shoppers willing to pay a premium for a fuel-saving powertrain love them. Some of these shoppers carry outdated prejudices against diesel, and in some circles, hybrids, which can run for periods of time in a zero-emissions state, are all the rage. So as a business decision, this Jetta Hybrid makes sense to tap into a new market segment. The diesel Jetta TDI was great on fuel and fun to drive, so is this Jetta Hybrid. It's got a turbocharged engine and electric motors that make heaps of torque. These are driven by a battery which lives in the trunk and is recharged by a motor generator assembly attached to the transmission and engine. Coast or brake, and the vehicle's rolling momentum drives the unit as a generator to recharge the battery. Request acceleration and stored electricity helps drive the car, lightening the load on the gas engine. At lower speeds, Jetta Hybrid can run solely on electricity too. Stop at a light and the gas engine shuts off while all the accessories continue to run. There's no plugging the system in, and when the drive battery gets low, the gas engine automatically turns on to help charge it up. All of this is computer controlled and invisible to the driver, albeit for some readouts that visualize what the systems are up to. Screens display the hybrid system's current state, and the tachometer is replaced by this meter that shows whether the powertrain is in charge, eco, power, or boost states, the latter telling drivers that the turbocharger and motors are all fired up for fun. You get 170 combined horsepower and even more torque, not to mention lightning fast gear shifts from the 7-speed direct shift transmission. Jetta Hybrid goes like all heck when you hammer down and has no issues getting by slower traffic. On the other side of the equation, you can drive with a light foot or even turn on the gas-saving E mode, which means more sitting back and smiling smugly that, at times, you're rolling along using no fuel. All the while, various aerodynamic tweaks make it more slippery through the air, right down to these lightweight aerodynamic wheels.
Hybrids deliver such a compromise-free driving experience these days that if this Jetta Hybrid is going to be your first hybrid car, there's not a whole lot you're going to have to get used to. Hybrids don't have a starter motor, so you'll kind of miss that sound when you fire up the engine, and the odd time you'll feel kind of a squirm as the gas and electric propulsion systems combine their power, and sometimes you feel the gas engine shutting off, which is kind of weird. But the thing you'll really have to get used to in the Jetta Hybrid is the brakes. Long story short, in a hybrid car, the brake pedal is not directly connected to the braking system, and as a result, sometimes, and especially in the Jetta Hybrid, the brakes feel abrupt and inconsistent. They're hard to modulate. Where I really noticed that the most was when I was trying to sneak out past a big snowbank to see around the corner.
As it tends to go with hybrids, the steering and handling match the feel of the brakes, a bit vague, spongy, and clearly not set up for extremes of driving pleasure. On 2 road trips in the dark, I enjoyed the potent Fender stereo, comfortable leather seats, and especially the powerful adaptive Xenon lights, which flood the road ahead with clean white light. Even with winter tires mounted, the ride was relatively quiet at speed. The suspension feels firmly sporty, robust, and tough, adding to an overall feel of quality. It's ultimately a nice, relaxing, and particularly upscale feeling car to drive. Translation, it feels every bit a Jetta, and that's a good thing. After leaving my custody, the Jetta Hybrid had turned in a real-life mileage figure of 6.7 liters per 100 clicks, virtually tying the TDI I drove earlier in the year. Considering the negative effects of cold weather and winter tires on fuel consumption, you'd have to basically call it a tie, at least for where and how I drive. Your results will vary, but leave it to me. Again, you've got choices to cut your fuel bills here. My choice, the TDI. I like hybrids, but I like the massive torque of the diesel engine better, and the fact that you can get it with a manual transmission, which you can't in the hybrid. End of the day, I'd strongly suggest test driving both models if you're considering either of them. Thanks for watching.